Can you use gold and silver as a pension? Is it something that's practical or possible? Is it worthwhile? I certainly think it is, and I have integrated gold and silver into my pension planning. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly for why I think gold and silver will form a very important part of my financial future, and why I think a lot of other people out there should maybe take notice and think about how they might want to integrate gold and silver into their pensions. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for another Precious Metal Ramble. Now, gold and silver have always formed a very long-term style asset for me as an investor in precious metals. What I mean by that is I'm going to hold them for 20, 30, 40 years maybe, until I'm in my dotage. And in fact, they are going to form part of my pension planning. So in today's video, I want to talk a little bit about why I think gold and silver make a good top up to a pension, not necessarily the entirety of a pension pot, but certainly a good addition to any pension pot that you might be able to plan for. I think planning for your pensionable part of life is a very important thing to do. I've always felt that way as a young adult working, and now that I'm firmly within my middle age, I feel that it's something that's very important to look ahead to do. A lot of people think it's a bit morbid to get there, or perhaps they feel like it's something to worry about another day. But if you start thinking about it now, and perhaps having gold and silver within that portfolio right now, you'll find that it's going to pay dividends over that long term. Now, look, I'm not a pensions advisor and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy who likes shiny things, and I think they're going to work well for me when I get to my dotage. With that said, don't go and make any financial decisions having watched this video. Talk to a qualified pensions advisor if you want some formal advice about what you might be thinking about for your pension. With that said, it would be great to know what you are planning or thinking in the comment section, so please do feel free to share your thoughts. And if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button or subscribe. 70% of people who watch our videos aren't subscribed, and there's a good chance you'll like future ones if you like this one. So, without further ado, let's get on and talk about pensions. Now, I'm going to share some of my thoughts and opinions on this as it relates to me and my financial circumstances. I have always felt from a young age when I started working that I did not want to keep working until I dropped down dead in my 70s and 80s. I very much believe that if you are able to retire early, in some form or another at least, you should then be able to enjoy life. And for me, that planning starts around 60. So I don't really want to just retire now in my young middle age, let's call it, and it'd be lovely to just sit back and not have to work and have money coming in, but I think I would get a bit stir crazy. So from my perspective, retiring early means 55 to 60. In the UK right now, based on my birth year, I wouldn't be able to access pension pots until 57, but even then you kind of don't want to do it because you might find that you'll get less every year than you would perhaps if you waited. So a lot of complex things going on there, and that's where gold and silver comes into this, because the gold and silver that I have within my inverted commas pension planning forms this little, in my opinion anyway, bridge to where I would then be having other income coming in from other pension pots. So in the UK, you get a state pension. For me, that's probably going to kick in around 68, maybe even 69 or 70, depending on how it all evolves over the course of my lifetime. And so if I stop working, let's say at 57, and I don't want to draw any other formal pensions because I wouldn't get as much value out of them, I am going to be a little bit up the brown creek without a paddle. So instead, I'm planning on gold and silver being that little bridge. And to do that, you will need to have a certain amount of gold and silver to get you through. And that's what I've been planning to do. I have a certain amount, and I'm not going to go into exact details of numbers of ounces and what have you of all of these things, but it's different to each individual person. If you've got a certain style of living, if you've got a certain way of life that you want to continue to enjoy, but you want to stop perhaps doing all of those really horrible desk jobs that you're in, or in my situation, who knows what I'll be doing in the time that between now and when I actually pull the trigger to retire. But if I'm still doing YouTube and silver pouring, perhaps when I'm in my mid to late 50s, I won't want to continue doing hard manual labor of silver pouring and stamping and content creation. Goodness me, I mean, can you imagine another couple of decades and a little bit more perhaps of me waffling on here on YouTube? YouTube could just disappear tomorrow for all we know. So how it will integrate into my pension there is, I think, pretty simple from my perspective. I will have a certain amount of gold and silver that I think will keep me tied over for a certain period of time until I get to a point where I perhaps will want to extract money out of my other pension pots. Now, it's important to say from my perspective that I don't think that gold and silver are an all-in pension asset. You should never have everything all in one basket. And from my perspective, I've always found that in that long term, having a little bit of everything is just the right thing to do. So from my perspective, I have a whole host of private invested pension pots with various different providers. It's good to hedge around and have different aspects to look at. There's a few ex-employer pensions that I've got as well from when I was working back when I was an employed person rather than a self-employed person. But in general terms, it's quite good to save in a pension pot in the United Kingdom. You get tax benefits from it in that you get the money that you would have paid tax on. You get that straight away back into your pension pot that you can invest in straight away. So it's kind of compounding all the way through your pension or your sort of adult life into that pensionable age, and you get a lot of extra value out of it by putting things in a formal pension. Now, you can invest in a formal pension for gold. There are certain providers that offer that. I think even the Royal Mint does it from memory. I remember seeing it on their website at some point. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that the Royal Mint offer it. But a lot of those are digital gold, so it's not physical stuff that you own, because the whole point of pension, certainly when you get the pension benefit on these things, is that you lock it away. The government wants you to save your pension because they can't afford to look after everybody. I mean, when I get to my pension age for state pension, it's going to be basically a little tiny bit of pocket money by that point. It's unfortunate, and it's really difficult for a lot of people to survive on just those state benefits alone, unfortunately, which is why I've always taken my own sort of financial investments and sort of financial planning when it comes to pensionable age very seriously, because I know that there's only one person I can rely on when it comes to investing in my future and my pension, and that's myself, unfortunately. The government just isn't going to have enough. Anyway, the point is that if you have a formal gold pension pot, it's going to be digital. And for me, I just don't see the point in that. If you're going to have a digital asset that's going to be just numbers on the screen, you might as well invest in the stocks and shares markets. You might as well have an S&P 500 or a FTSE 100 share index, or invest in UK gilt bonds. They're just going to be pretty much guaranteed to give you a certain return at the end, and you just have little risk to none with those kind of things. So there's still risk. Assets go up and down, of course, and it depends on the timings of when you look to maybe actually pull the trigger and retire. But the point is that it's a lot safer than just having physical gold and silver. And especially in a pension scheme, they wouldn't let you have that because you could just go and cash it in tomorrow. And that's not what a pension scheme is about. It's about long-term financial planning. So from my perspective, how much gold and silver is an important number to have? So as I said, it's about your lifestyle, about how much you want to actually use when you get to that point and how you're going to go about doing it. So from my perspective, it forms a double whammy. I'm going to be able to have a certain amount of money that I can liquidate every month if I need to. And it's interesting that I'm going to say that I need to, because whilst I intend to at some point stop working, inverted commas, and whether I'm still doing YouTube and silver pouring at that point in time, I have no idea. I probably won't be. I've in fact talked with this with a good friend of mine about when I might one day stop doing what I'm doing here on YouTube. Don't worry, that's not coming anytime soon, but everything comes to a natural end at some point, and next phases of life move forward. So it's very interesting to think about that. Maybe that's a video for another time in its entirety. But the point is that you just don't know where the future will be, and it's important to plan for the future. So from my perspective, the gold and silver that I own does form a part of that. And part of that future is, of course, what you're actually going to do when you're retired. And I see a lot of people in my sort of parents' generation who retire and they end up really not doing very much at all. Maybe they go on a few holidays and things and they travel, but it's quite morbid. Essentially, people just sit there and wait to die. And that's not what I want to do. I want to enjoy this planet. You're here for a very short period of time, and we don't get to do everything we want to do in life. But I think you can do as much as you can and just have your life be content. That is the most important thing for anybody. So from my perspective, being smart about it now, retiring when I'm a little bit younger than 70, 75 or 80 would be nice. Now, I'm also not naive enough to think that that's not possible for everybody. Unfortunately, it isn't possible for everybody. And I feel very lucky that I've just had this this ability to look forward to that in the future and plan for it right now. And part of that planning doesn't always just look like putting money in gold and silver and locking it away for a long time. It comes right down to the grassroots about being sensible with your money, with your frugality. I think one of the most important things that is to be taught to future generations is about spending and about keeping things in a affordable, sort of affordable way to live, basically. So not buying a brand new car every 3 years and wasting money on that, or not having the newest iPhone or Google phone every year it comes out. And there's a whole host of other things. Mrs. Backyard Bullion and I, we've always been very, very hot on our own personal savings, and it's paid us dividends. We've enjoyed the financial freedoms that we've got because we've been smart in our youth about certain financial things that we've done. And that's really important to us, and it's really important, I think, that a lot of people don't necessarily think about. Going out and getting drunk every Saturday night and spending money on God knows what, and all the takeaways that you have every weekend. We do enjoy things, and we are not just sitting there at home, eating cardboard. But the point is that we are sensible with our money. We save our money, and we, penny saved is a penny earned, they say. So that's where it's all started, and we've got this plan in place, and gold and silver form a part of that plan. Now, as I said, I'm not a pensions advisor, so it's very important that if you are watching this video thinking, yeah, gold and silver are going to form an important part of my pension too, to think about the logistics of it. From my perspective, I am fortunate that I have this social media platform. I've grown a business out of nothing that has now given me the ability to have potentially a shop when I get to my retirement age. I have a platform that I can maybe use when I get there. Maybe I'll still be there. I don't know if I will still be there. But even if I'm not, I have knowledge about this whole industry, about what I can do with the gold and silver, what I can sell it for, where I can sell it, how I can sell it. What the dealer landscape will look like in the time it is when I'm ready to retire, I don't know. But, it's a very interesting thing to think about. Now, in terms of the long term pensionable gold, will I keep any of my gold when I get to my pension age? I suspect so. I suspect that I'll get to a point in my life where, like I say, I'll want to maybe kick back on the active amount of work that I'm doing and maybe just look to liquidate a little bit here and there to tie me over until that pensionable age kicks in and I start getting other incomes from pensions. But I don't envisage all of my gold and silver being sold in that particular time period. I think that there is going to be some gold and silver that will form a very long sort of emergency pot of money, let's say, that flexible money where if we want to just go on a round the world cruise or whatever it might be, a holiday, well, you can buy those round the world plane tickets, can't you? You just get on any plane, anytime, anywhere. Maybe we'll want to do that at some point in our dotage, and Mrs. Backyard Bullion and I will sell a few ounces of gold to buy those tickets. Who knows? That's basically how we view it, and the worst case scenario is that these get left to future generations and somebody else gets to work out what to do with them. It's money that we're very fortunate to have and we've worked very hard for, and we want to try and preserve it and protect what we've got going into that long-term future. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got to say on the subject of gold and silver in my pension and my dotage, and it'd be great to see what you've got to say about it. So please do feel free to comment with your thoughts and opinions on this subject down in the comment section. And if you've enjoyed our ramblings about silver, then don't forget to hit the like button before you click away to the next video. And if you're in the Super Cool Kids Club, you are super extra special cool. And by the way, if you're watching to this point in the video and you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Do me a favor and get me close to that mythical 100,000. We are growing pretty well at the moment, about 1,000 subs a month. So that's what, like 10,000 a year? 3 or 4 years until we get there. That'll be very exciting. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.